Agriculture feeds us, but it also depends on something much bigger, the health of our environment. As climate change intensifies, ecosystems shift, and pressure on land continues to grow. The line between agriculture and conservation becomes increasingly blurred. For many communities, especially in pastoral and rural regions, this is not just a theory, it is a daily reality, where farming meets wildlife, where livelihoods meet ecosystems, and where survival depends on balance. The question is no longer whether agriculture and conservation can coexist, but how they must. In this conversation, we explore the connections between climate change, wildlife conservation, and agro-pastoralism, and what they mean for the future of agriculture in Africa. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. Today we are having a conversation with a friend of mine from the side of conservation. So today we want to connect agriculture and conservation, especially wildlife conservation, because do we have to give away for one? Do we have to give away agriculture so that we focus on wildlife conservation, especially when it comes to the area where wildlife is dominant, especially the northeastern parts of Kenya and the other parts of Kenya. So today I'm joined by a friend of mine who is also a colleague from Kilimo Corps Africa. So I'm going to give him a chance to introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Mr. Tom.
Yes.
My name is Derrick Memusi. I'm an expert in wildlife management and conservation, and also very, very interested in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, that is SDG number 13.
Yes. For the first time, maybe someone might be hearing the word SDGs for the first time. Maybe what is SDGs?
Well, so SDG, these are just the challenges that have been facing the world ever since.
Yes.
And the United Nations decided to come up with solutions to solve these problems. I can give you maybe the example of poverty, health.
Yeah.
And so they decided to formulate this in one framework, and that's what we call the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. See, for me, I'm particularly interested in SDG number 13, that is climate action. This one was formed to combat climate change. Yes.
And when it comes to climate change and climate action, it is something that is really affecting agriculture as at now. So when it comes to climate change and all these policies and all these things that you guys are doing to combat climate change, what are you guys up to now when it comes to agriculture? I want you to paint a picture for us, the effect of climate change to agriculture as at 2026.
Well, so you see, one of the biggest problems of climate change in the field of agriculture is actually rain and temperatures. You see, after climate change has occurred and has been increasing over time, we've been having unpredictable rain patterns. See, now farmers can't be able to predict when the rain will be coming and maybe to do the planting or tilling of the land. You see, now that brings what you call unpredictability. Yes, and that was widely affected climate in the agriculture. Yes.
Paint a picture also for us when it comes to climate change and when it comes to agro-pastoralism.
Agro-pastoralism. You see, one problem that's been facing the pastoral communities to be particular, number one is that people who are, especially in Africa, you see, Africa, we are contributing very, very little to climate change. But then we are the ones who are experiencing the most profound effects of it.
Yes.
You see, for now, for the pastoral communities, number one, these people, especially now in the northern part of Kenya, maybe northeastern, we're talking about Samburu, Laikipia, Wajir, and Garissa, all those places, you know, they keep livestock. We're talking about cattle, camels, sheep, and all this. You see, these people have been depending on these animals for eons. Yes, they don't have any other alternative form of livelihoods. So, but every time this now we are recording this highs in temperature and unpredictable rainfall. These animals are depending on grass. And you see, grass depends on what? Rainfall. You see, because of this, we are experiencing very, very elongated drought seasons, and all these animals are dying. And these people don't have any other alternative way of generating income, and they end up suffering. Yes, and that's where climate change is a serious problem in northern Kenya, or maybe just pastoral communities. Yes.
Sure, and I'm also tempted to ask, this when it comes to the pastoralist community, they seem to be going through so many challenges. Before we dive into the solutions, what are some of the policies that are in place when it comes to helping them to cope up with the situation? Because as you have said, that Africa is not the one that is contributing too much when it comes to climate change. It is actually not us.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know who is to be blamed when it comes to climate change and why.
Well, number one, the people to be blamed are where now we have these mushrooms of industries.
Yes.
And I'm talking about the Western countries. We're talking about Europe. Talking about North America. You know, these are places where we have lots and lots of industries that are actually burning fossil fuels to generate energy.
Yeah.
And you see, every time you burn a fossil fuel, you're releasing a greenhouse gas. We're talking about CO2, which is the predominant gas now causing what you call global warming.
Yeah.
You see, when CO2 is released into the atmosphere, it doesn't stay in that place. It circulates throughout the atmosphere. You see, that same CO2, an atom of CO2 goes to Africa, comes back. Yeah, it just circulates around the atmosphere.
Sure.
And you see, it ends up affecting us. When you're talking about northern Kenya, there's very, very little number of industries there.
Yes, sure.
And you see, these are the people who are actually being affected by this. You see, for this developed nation, as they call it, they have ways of dealing with these problems of climate. The challenges of climate change. But then for us, being a third world country to some extent, it's an issue. Yeah, it's a problem to combat it.
Yeah. So let's go back to now agriculture after we have gotten out the global picture where climate change is as at now, who is to be blamed when it comes to climate change. So I want you also to help us now understand when it comes to climate change and agriculture. The world is right now trying to adapt, especially the African. But pastoralists are the main people that are affected because they depend on rain-fed agriculture. And also, like you had said, that when it comes to pastoralism, they depend on grass. And so these grasses are purely rain-fed. So when we don't have rain, then we don't have grasses and we don't have pasture. And then they're going to experience high mortality when it comes to livestock deaths. And this has been a challenge for the past so many years. They have been experiencing some severe droughts in those the northeastern counties and the counties on the extreme parts of Kenya. And so I want you to help us understand when it comes to when you are trying to advocate, when you are trying to promote the SDGs and all these 17 development goals, how are you blending climate change and agriculture so that you make sure that these citizens or our colleagues or our people from the other side of the country are also taken care of in terms of agriculture?
Yes. So you see, number one, climate change.
Yes.
The solutions now. You see, it comes out in two folds. There's something we call climate mitigation and climate adaptation. These are very, very, sometimes it's a tricky terminology to some people. But when you talk about climate mitigation and climate adaptation, I have come up with a situation to explain it. So I can give you a scenario. You imagine a room that has a leaking roof where water is leaking into it when it rains. You see, persona A will take maybe a bucket, put it directly under that hole so that every time that water leaks in, he or she goes and pours the water out and then brings back the empty bucket, right? That is what you call climate adaptation. You see? Climate adaptation, you are adapting to the effects of climate change. Yes, and no matter how sophisticated the method you are using, you are not solving the real problem. It is the leaking hole. Number two is what we call the climate mitigation. Now, climate mitigation, you are actually solving this issue from the source. The persona B will maybe climb the roof and block or seal the leaking roof. That's one of what we call climate mitigation. And it comes out now as climate adaptation. You are adapting to the effects of climate change. You are trying to fix its effects. While climate mitigation, you are solving it from the source. But then sadly, some of the effects of climate change are irreversible. It is very, very sad to say that.
What are some of these?
I can give you an example of now the temperatures. Yes, it has increased by 0.5. There is no way you can take that back. Yes. But then, since now we have these effects that are actually reversible, we adapt to them. we try to live with the problem.
So now that is mitigating it now.
No, we are adapting.
Oh, now you are
adaptation. Yes,
you say when it comes to mitigation, it is something that has not happened. You are trying to solve it
from the source.
From the source.
Yes.
But when it comes to adaptation, now there are challenges that are already there.
Yeah. And you try to live with it.
Okay.
Yes, to ensure that everybody is living comfortably with it and maybe preventing that solution from worsening. Effect.
So I want you to connect all these terminologies, mitigation and adaptation, now to agriculture when it comes to the pastoralist community and also when it comes to wildlife conservation, because wildlife, we also need wildlife. And if you look at the economy of Kenya, one of the things that is contributing so much to our GDP is not only agriculture but also wildlife. Tourism is doing a lot when it comes to our contributing to our GDP. So I want you to interconnect between wildlife conservation, climate mitigation and adaptation, and also agriculture.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see, number one, we need policies that actually harmonize these two concepts of climate change.
Yeah.
Since we can't maybe reverse some problems of climate change, we'll try to adapt to them.
Yes.
Others will mitigate them. We need solutions, we need policies that actually merge the two, ensuring that they live in harmony. So any problem that requires an adaptation, we apply the adaptation strategies. Anyone that requires climate mitigation, we involve the climate mitigation strategies. And with this, we'll ensure that these communities are actually climate resilient. So let me go now to wildlife now, and how we try to interconnect all this. You see, all these problems that are facing people right now, we're talking about wildlife, agriculture, it's all because of climate change to some extent. We're talking about human-wildlife conflict. What's the reason? It's because there's so long drought seasons, and these elephants, these rhinos or the herbivores, they don't have vegetation within the parks, or within the conservancy or the community lands. What do? They break out through the fences and they go and maybe raid people's farms.
This is bringing a lot of conflicts. Wildlife,
lots of it,
and the conflict between the wildlife and the community. And it is really a problem. And then I wanted to understand, to the best of your knowledge, do you think we have done what is required as maybe as the people in charge of conservation and also the government in terms of mitigating the challenges that the communities are facing between wildlife and them as a community? Because for now there is a big conflict between wildlife and people in terms of their coexistence.
Well, to some extent, to be honest, some milestones have been achieved. Especially I'm talking about the conservancies. You know, this is the field that I'm very, very aware of it, because I come from that part of northern Kenya. Number one is what you call the compensation mechanisms. You see, when these people maybe lose their crops from elephants, they lose their cattle from the predators, maybe lions, there's always compensation to it, and that reduces that resentment towards wildlife. You see, especially now from maybe we talk about these pastoral communities. Every time a lion kills a cow, they will follow it and kill it to some extent. But then if you compensate them and you give them this money, tell them, you see, we've solved this problem. Yes, to some extent they've done. And actually Kenya Wildlife Service that's at the forefront to solve that. Maybe sometimes there's some hiccups here and there, especially in what you call the delayed compensation.
And then do you think agriculture and wildlife can they really coexist?
It's been a problem.
Yes,
every time you have human wildlife conflict, it's always a result of